If you just take a moment and put your business cap on for a second and truly understand the magnitude of what you have here in your hands, or what you could have in your hands if you just got out of your own way and put your money where your mouth is and invested into yourself and your family with this technology, it is by far single-handedly the most valuable amount of money that you will ever invest on a physical item. Period, bar none, end of story. That's my belief. And I've been holding that belief for 16 years. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Life Mentor Podcast with your host, Balazs W Kardos. And in this episode, I have something very exciting to celebrate, a major milestone that I'm so proud of, and it's really brought me back to reflecting on exactly how everything has unfolded and the beautiful life that we get to now enjoy all these years later. And what that special milestone is today is my 16th anniversary, 16 years since my mother discovered and found Kangen Water and invested in our very first SD501 Enagic ionizer machine in May 27th of 2008. 16 years. And I'm just so grateful for my mother and never giving up on all of the health challenges that I had. And I wanted to take this opportunity on today's episode to share my health testimonial and to share my journey of how we discovered Enagic. I should say how my mother discovered Enagic. And I don't believe I've shared that directly on the podcast before that I can recall. Regardless, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how when you align yourself with a company, when you align yourself with a product, you really need to think about the longevity potential, right? Is it really going to matter? Is it really going to be relevant? Is it still going to be a product that can continue to add value into someone's life into the future, into the long term? And one of the things that I'm so grateful for is, number one, that my mom was continuing to search for answers for the ailments, the suffering, the pain, the discomfort that I was in most of my childhood regarding my digestion. And some of you listening may have already heard my story at some point in different communities or learning platforms or training platforms, systems, etc., or somewhere else. I've shared this many times, and there's lots of videos that have circulated for 10 plus years, 15 plus years about this. But when I was young, a little boy, probably around 5 years old, in that area, I always got sick when my stomach was the weakest link. So sometimes when people get a cold or a flu or something like that, as young kids, they get the sniffles, they get runny nose, they get other stuff like that. For me, it was always stomach related. So stomach aches, constipation, diarrhea, bloating. It was it was like the stomach bug, the stomach flu, this kind of thing. So my experience was always that if something wasn't feeling good in my body or I was having dis-ease in the body, then it was stomach related. So this went on and on and on for many years. And once I got into high school, grade like 8, 9, so I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, it went to a whole new level. Now I was getting serious, debilitating stomach pain to the point where it felt like my guts were being ripped out, or it felt like someone was pumping gas into my stomach, and it felt like I was going to pop or explode, right? And it was very uncomfortable. it would make these weird sounds and growls, and the gas would be trapped, and I couldn't like burp or get it out of my body. I was so sensitive to foods. I wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom properly. And I was always in this like achy, upset stomach feeling like most of the time. It was never gone. You know, like when you're healthy and you don't feel anything painful in your body and you almost take it for granted, or you don't really think much about it because you're just good. And that good is actually like the most precious, priceless feeling we have is that we're not in pain or we're not in discomfort, right? So this went on for 10 plus years. And finally, I started getting these gallbladder attacks. And what a gallbladder attack really is, if you've heard of someone having one, or maybe you've personally had one, or heard someone else having one, but what it is if you have gallstones, it's basically a stone that gets stuck in your bile duct. And so that is excruciating because it's basically like a big ball stuck in a small pipe. And that causes like things to get backed up, and then it has a chain reaction in the body. It gets worse and worse and worse. So I started having these gallbladder attacks, and I would be like in fetal position, laying in bed, miserable, like moaning and groaning, and it would just last for hours or days. It was just so excruciating, and it wasn't fun at all. And I felt literally like I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like if I tried to stand up and like go to the bathroom, I would be completely hunched over, basically like a 90 degrees at the waist, holding my stomach. I couldn't eat for days. The thought of even trying to eat was like so scary because I knew it would cause me more discomfort and more pain. So there was like a fear attached to food. I was like, no way. There's no way I'm eating anything. So that also isn't healthy, and you know, couldn't really drink anything either. So I was dehydrated. I was hungry. I was in pain. It was messed up, man. It was really, really bad. So this went on for quite some time. Finally, I ended up there were times where I had to go to the hospital, and I was undergoing tests, and they're trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and they would put me on IV drips. And every time the test results came back, they said, you know, you're actually perfectly healthy according to our blood work, according to the urine sample, according to everything else. So it was a very confusing time. And then after a while, this gallstone, it was more like gall sludge in my case. It wasn't like a big stone. It was lots of little tiny sand particles. They would escape through the bile duct. Finally, they would pass, and the pain would subside and it would go away, and everything was fine. And so all of a sudden it would be like I was back to life, like reborn. I felt amazing. I was like, oh my God, okay, like let's go home. And then I would be very careful with what I was eating and kind of being cautious and afraid that it might come back. So this was my life. And it was this roller coaster ride of every few months. Finally, we went to go see a bunch of specialists, and the specialist advised us that I should get my gallbladder removed because this is a chronic condition where it's going to keep coming back, and there's more and more of this gall sludge that will eventually get stuck in the bile duct, and I could have these attacks for the rest of my life every 1, 2, 3 months, and obviously that's going to really suck. So at the time, we didn't really know what else to do. We went and consulted a few other specialists, and they also advised me to take my gallbladder out. I'm like 15 or 14, very, very young. So long story short, I ended up listening to the doctors. I ended up getting out my gallbladder. And for the first 6 months after my surgery, it seemed to have solved the problem. I wasn't getting those frequent stomach aches and issues and problems for about 6 months roughly. And then all of a sudden it got worse. I was more sensitive. I couldn't eat as much food. If I ate like greasy food or anything like kind of like junk food or cheap meals or those kinds of things, which as a teenager, it's extra difficult to avoid, like pizzas or burgers or like stuff like that occasionally, right? I didn't eat it every day, but it was around. My friends would have it at their homes or whatever it was. And so it was very hard for me to avoid it completely, but every time I did have it, it was like I paid the price. I had to suffer for the fact that I did eat it. So this went on for many more years, probably 6 or 7 years after my gallbladder was removed. And my mom just continued to like investigate and research and look into stuff and always had an open mind. Maybe there is something I'm missing. Maybe there's a solution. Maybe there's something we haven't tried. And at this point, once my gallbladder was out and it didn't help me and it didn't work, we became very skeptical of the traditional Western medical system, the doctors and the hospitals and stuff. Up until that point, we didn't really have a reason to not trust them. And we didn't have a reason to doubt that they didn't have really our best interests at heart. And I say this with a grain of salt because I feel like our medical system for emergencies, they really do play a super important part in protecting us, taking care of us. And if you're a healthcare worker, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you work in a hospital, I send my love and respect for you if you're in that field because of a compassionate heart and you genuinely want to help people that are in need in an emergency, etc. But the system itself is bigger than that. It's rigged against us. And people, they want to, in the Western world, they're treating sickness more so than they're wanting to keep us healthy. So there's this whole other topic we can get into another time. But essentially, once my gallbladder came out and they were kind of guessing if that was actually the problem, my mom ended up switching her mindset to preventative health, holistic nutrition, Eastern medicine. What are they doing in other parts of the world? What are some natural solutions to our health problems as opposed to medications or antibiotics or just going to the doctor and running there for them to solve it or give you surgery or cut something out of your body? So during this journey, she started reading a lot more books and doing research, and she came across some information from top doctors and top nutritionists from the world that were essentially saying that the water in our bodies makes up about 70 to 80% of our bodies. And so the quality of our water matters, and not all water is created equally. And so it kind of opened up this whole new world for us to explore, and the possibilities of like, well, what is the importance of water? Is it as simple as tap water and bottled water and filtered water? Because most people's level of education and awareness around water is basic at best. They really don't know the benefits of water. They don't know that there's completely different types of water and so on. So we were in that same category. We had no idea. And even though I had been to the doctor countless times and had all this testing done and all these things, no one actually talked to us about how much water we're drinking, what type of water we're drinking. It was almost like off of the radar. It was constantly around, take this medication or take this thing. And we had tried changing my diet. I took different supplements. We had crossed things out. I had eliminated dairy. I had eliminated like gluten and all the things you can think of. We were eliminating things one by one to see what it might be. Was I allergic? Had food sensitivities? Was it this? Was it that? Everything that you could possibly think of. And still I had those issues. But the water wasn't really discussed at all. And I was an athlete, so I was consuming water. I was drinking water when I trained. I was drinking water during the day. So it's not like I was dehydrated. I was trying to be hydrated, and I was doing that as best as I could at the time. So anyways, my mom ended up finding this company, Enagic, from Japan when she was actually researching different types of water technology on Google. And she was looking around and she found a company that was actually bashing this company. And so it was very strange. One of the things that I'm so grateful for that my mom did better than most people is that she was able to see between the lines. And as she went down the website and they were bashing and saying all the stuff, at the very bottom of the website, they were trying to sell their product for less money and saying that it does the same thing, it's better, but it's cheaper and all the rest of it. And my mom's like, why are they comparing themselves to this other company? That's weird. You would only compare yourself to the best. That's literally how people do it in everything. So my mom immediately took the attention off the actual company with the website and went and researched this one that they were talking negatively about, discovered that it was a Japanese company that was founded in 1974. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary literally next month in June, in a few weeks. And so this company at the time had been around for 34 years. It wasn't a startup. It wasn't something new that just came out. This was an established Japanese, high quality, original manufacturer, legit medical technology company, like the top of the line. And so my mom looked into it, everything was checking out. And once she discovered how much the price was of investing in this machine, how much the cost was, it was outside of our price range. My mom was a single mom of 2 boys, struggled financially, didn't make that much money, and every single penny that she earned to support her 2 sons was accounted for. And this machine was $4,000 Canadian back then for the SD501, and it was a big stretch for us to be able to get it. Luckily, we found someone locally who was willing to share the water with us for free and just couldn't promise any results, couldn't say like this will cure anything. It was just like, try the water for free, see what happens. So that was the best offer for us, is free, right? Free samples, try it out. So we went and drove about 20 minutes from where we lived, picked up the water. And at this point, my mom had seen a presentation which we call a Kangen Water demo, which basically demonstrates the power of the technology, all the different features, all the benefits, how it works in different applications in your life, how you can use it for cooking, for cleaning, for disinfecting, for drinking, how it has all these tremendous health benefits for different ailments in the body and dis-ease in the body, from inflammation to acidosis to dehydration. It was like this very robust product presentation. And when she watched it, there was one slide specifically that talked about how it really supports digestion problems and how people have had these miraculous testimonials with drinking the water around their digestion, and the pain and the bloating and the acid reflux and the heartburn and all these symptoms, went away. And so immediately she thought about me, and she's like, my son has to absolutely try this water. So she started bringing it home. And at this point, I was suffering for so long. This was about 15, 16 years of suffering, okay? It was the majority of my life. And I had gotten so used to this pain and this discomfort and the feeling of being disappointed every time my mom had found something new and it didn't work. And I was still in pain. And it was so disheartening. I was like, oh, I keep getting my hopes up. I keep feeling like maybe this time it will work. Maybe this time will work. And I lost track of how many things we tried that didn't work. So when my mom came home telling me that the water was special and the water was going to help me, I was like, Mom, are you freaking kidding me? Like, just give it up already. I'm done. Water, come on now. Water's not going to do nothing. Water's just the same old thing from the tap, from the bottle. Like, I was the biggest critic, the biggest skeptic. I was such a negative person at this point, and I was just trying to cope with the realization that these were the cards that I was dealt, that I just had the stomach problem, the stomach issue, and I was trying to be positive. I was trying to be grateful that it wasn't worse. And other people in the world are dealing with much more severe, serious health issues than this. So I was trying to make sense of this as a 21-year-old kid, like, just leave me alone, Mom. The water, like all your woo-woo, wah-wah stuff that you're finding, like, just leave me alone, right? And my mom was very serious. Listen, you're going to drink this water. I'm not giving up on you. I'm not giving up hope. You're going to drink this water, and we're going to give it a test drive for a couple of weeks and see what happens. So here you go. And like hands me a bottle that she picked up from this guy that she got the sample from. And with all of the resistance in the world and all of the huffing and puffing and being like so not open-minded to it, I was like, fine, Mom, okay, let's give it a go. Drank it and whatever. Now, my experience personally was one of the first, like literally the first time I tasted the water on my tongue, I knew something was different immediately. I couldn't tell you what it was. I couldn't tell you the science. I couldn't break it down to you. But when I tasted it, it just tasted pure. It tasted so clean, so refreshing, so light. It felt like my tongue just like instantly absorbed it. And I wanted more immediately. Like it made me thirsty. And I was like, oh my God, it was like my body was a sponge. And it was like, give me more, give me more. And it was very strange. But I was still skeptical and I wasn't going to say much at that time. I was just like, all right, let's give it a shot. So I ended up drinking about 1.5 liters a day, which isn't very much. We should be drinking 2 or 3 times that for most people that are, my size or whatever. And I drank it every day. My mom kept picking up fresh samples from this person every few days to make sure that the healing properties, the molecular hydrogen in the water wasn't leaving the container and stuff. And it's best to drink it fresh, but at the time it wasn't really accessible to us because we couldn't afford our own machine. And about 2 weeks into it, I remember specifically my mom was very excited to like check in on me and ask me questions and say like, how you doing? How you feeling? And for the longest time, for like over a decade, 10, 15 years, I'd always be like, all right, not bad, and I was in discomfort always. So all of a sudden, she asked me how I'm feeling about 2 weeks after trying the water, and my response was good. And it was like pretty enthusiastic. I was like, good. She kind of gives me a look, pauses. She's like, what'd you say? Because I never said that. And as soon as she kind of questioned me, I had that moment. I said, wait a second. I don't feel any discomfort. And I've been going to the toilet like normally without anything weird going on or any kind of bloating or pain or like anything that is outside of a normal bowel movement. Oh my goodness, I think it's working, right? And it was just the most incredible feeling. Something so simple that most people might take for granted. Most people wouldn't even think it's a big deal. And it was profound. It was enlightening. It was a game changer, man. Absolute game changer. And from that moment on, my mom knew it. I knew it. My little brother started drinking it. He knew it. And my family, we truly felt like we discovered like, I don't even know, the greatest treasure ever to be buried. That's literally the feeling. Because what got to be really weird after this, like just hard to comprehend, is how in the world was this company 34 years old from Japan and no one that we knew had ever heard about it. It was literally available online. People had it. The company was around already for a couple of years in Canada, but no one had shared it with us. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody was promoting it. It wasn't in any stores. It wasn't on any commercials. It wasn't at any restaurants. It was nowhere to be seen publicly anywhere. Completely off the radar. And somehow my mom found it. And the more that we got these benefits and results, the more we realized that we truly found something special. And we were curious that if we had such amazing results, we were wondering if other people would have amazing results too. Because we were still skeptical and we were still wondering, is it a placebo? Is it only us? I don't know. It was just so hard to believe that it was truly working. So we wanted to have all these other guinea pigs, like people we knew, like you try it and you try it and you try it. And if all these people started having positive experiences and raving about it and saying it was helping them with whatever it was helping them with, that was giving us belief. That was giving us confirmation. That was giving us that energy, like this is something we should continue to pursue. So anyway, that's how we got started. After I started feeling really amazing, it was about a couple of months, 2-3 months after drinking the water, and I went away on a trip. And I didn't take the water with me because who packs water, right? If you think about it, if you go on a trip somewhere where there's a hotel and they have bottled water and they have whatever, it wasn't part of my mental capacity or routine to be like, let me pack my water or let me pack my machine, right? Which we all now do, right? Everybody in Enagic, pretty much, this is a very important part about our trip is how are we going to get the water? Is someone else bringing a machine? Are we bringing a machine? Is the machine available wherever we're going? It's a huge, huge thing, especially longer than like 48 hours of going someplace and you can't pack enough water with you in jugs and containers. So I left on this trip and I didn't have the water. I went back to drinking other type of water, and all of my symptoms came back after not having a single problem for like 3 months. And I was like, the only thing I didn't have with me during this weekend was the water. Oh my goodness, the water is working, and when I don't have it, my body starts to shut down and it can't function correctly. wow. So that was the final like moment for me personally to really believe in it, to start wanting to talk about it, but we still didn't know about the business. I just loved this product and I wanted everybody to know about it. But then my mom started sending people to our home, and because I was in a really depressed place in my life, the water was literally the only positive thing going for me at this stage in my life. I was dealing with the loss of my dad, who passed away from cancer. He passed away 8 months before we found the water. I was still grieving. I was still trying to make sense of everything. I was sleeping in. I was smoking dope. I had no motivation. I didn't have a job. I didn't go to school. Like, I was just in a dark, dark chapter of my life. But the water gave me hope. The water gave me light. The water made me start to feel healthy again in my body and start to feel good without any pain. And it was the biggest blessing. I was like, wow, thank you so much. God, universe, thank you for putting this product into our lives, because everything is changing. And because I started to feel good physically, my body, it started to give me hope to start dreaming, to start having goals, to start having plans, to get myself out of that dark place, because I felt like I could take on the world with this healthy body and this healthy energy and not being in pain and so on. So I ended up being the water boy, staying at home in this depressed state, slowly coming out of it. It didn't happen immediately, but I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I started to be a little bit more positive and start to kind of question what I was doing with my time. And I'm like, why am I in this dark hole? And like, the blinds are closed all day and I'm sleeping in. And I started kind of getting disgusted with myself, like, Balazs, you're better than this. Why the hell are you doing that? But it took time, right? It wasn't immediately. And during that same period, my mom was sending people to our home to try the water. And so I'm in the kitchen, I'm filling them up. I'm having these like weird, awkward, long conversations while the big, massive water jug was filling up. And what was really profound is that they started telling me their health problems, because I was asking them if they're dealing with any health issues. And they were telling me these long, elaborate stories about this problem and this pain and that pain. And they kept coming back for refills every few days. And as the time went by, it wasn't like a guaranteed amount of time, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, everybody was a little bit different. They were literally telling me that their problems had been going away, and all they had changed was started drinking this water that we were giving them for free from our machine. And you can imagine the feeling of making a difference in someone's life, making an impact in someone's life, them giving you a hug, tears of gratitude, thanking you. It was very uplifting, and it kind of started to give me a sense of purpose. Like, it's not about me anymore. I can't just lay on the couch, watch TV. I got to get my shit together. I got to help more people with this water. So it started to like give me this sense of purpose. And about 6 months after we got the machine is when things started to click, and all these people were ready to buy machines. They were confused. They're like, are you guys the only one that has a machine? And I didn't even know how that all worked. I wasn't sure. I'm telling my mom, like, we got to help these people get a machine. Like, they're tired of coming to our house 2 or 3 times a week. This is not sustainable. It doesn't make much sense. So we didn't know how it works. So we contacted the person that gave us our first sample and that we bought our machine from. And we financed it for like $100 a month. That's all we could afford. And even that was a big stretch for us at the time. Anyways, we went to his house and he showed us the full compensation plan video. And I could not believe my eyes. I was like, are you for real? Like, you make that much money every single time you make a sale and you help somebody with this water? Are you serious? And it was just so different than anything I had ever seen in my life. Like a completely different planet, okay? And I wasn't in low ticket network marketing. I wasn't in these other things that are kind of similar in some ways. I was literally an employee working, trading time for money per hour for like $10 an hour, $15 an hour, this kind of stuff for like my whole life. So to go from $10 to $15 an hour to $1,000, $2,000 for a single sale. This was before we had packages that included multiple products. This was before we had so much of what we have now today. So even then, like a 6-point commission as a 6A was like a couple $1,000 or whatever it was absolutely life-changing. And the biggest realization for us was that we had already been technically doing the business by sharing the water and helping people and going out of our way to fill up their water jugs and things like this. So we were already doing like the business activities unknowingly that we can sell it and make money. So we were genuinely trying to help people first and foremost. But then when we realized like all we got to do is basically learn a couple of things to say, to ask a couple of questions, to learn how to fill out the paperwork, and basically ask people like, are you ready to buy your own machine, instead of coming to our house 2-3 times a week and just learning that little bit of a sales process, people were like, yeah, actually I am. I would have bought one like 2 months ago. I just didn't know I can get one. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to do so awesome with this. So we ended up selling a handful of machines to all of these prospects and all of these people trying the water that my mom had been sending over. It was, I can't remember how many it was. It was like 3, 4, 5 machines or something. And I got so excited that I started telling my friends about the business. I said, we're going to change the world. Everybody needs to have this water. It's absolutely life-changing. We now had like 20, 30, 40, 50 people that were our guinea pigs that all tried the water, had incredible results. So my belief was like bulletproof. I knew this was legit. I knew this was the best thing ever. It changed my life. I swore by it. I drank it every single day, non-negotiable, and so on and so on. But I didn't actually have the skills. I didn't have the training. We didn't have any type of sales training. We didn't have none of that stuff available as part of the company. And so how far are you really going to get when you don't know what you're doing? So of course I got discouraged after being made fun of. We were told that we were scammed. We were told that it was placebo. We were told that it was this and that. We heard everything under the sun. And after a while of you kind of being ridiculed or criticized or insulted or disrespected to your face constantly, like you're literally the joke of the town. You're the joke of the circle of people that know you because you're doing this. It can take a heavy toll on you. And it's very, very, very hard to keep going despite all of that. And back then, we didn't have a thriving community of tens of thousands of people who were like-minded, and you could like get support and people would understand. People like me and other leaders in the community and other people where they're like, look, man, I get it. Like, I got made fun of too, and my friends didn't understand, or my like social circle didn't get it, or so on and so on. Back then, it was very lonely. There was nobody around to basically let me know that it's going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? So I literally was one of the first people with the machete blazing the trail in the path, and I got like arrows in the chest, all the insults, all the jokes, all the things. And so after a while, I'm like, you know what? Like, fuck you guys. Like, fuck all of you. I don't really give a shit. If you don't want the water, don't have the damn water. I got the water. My family's got the water. We're good. And that's that. And I was like, you guys, go drink freaking toilet water for all I care. Like, I just got pissed. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not putting myself through this. And that's essentially what ended up leading me to not really trying, not really talking about it. And I was just selfish with it for a period of about 5 years of, I'm good. I got it in my water. I drink it. I'm not getting sick. I'm healthy. You guys are all dropping like flies every flu season. You're always coughing. You're always sneezing. You always got some kind of health issue. Whatever. Screw you, And I was that guy. I was pretty bitter and I was pretty resentful. But the blessing in disguise was that during all that stuff that was going on, and when I got feeling better and I got healthier, is how I actually ended up meeting my first mentor, Darren Jacklin, which we did an episode on the podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's episode 2. I would go back and check it out. It's one of the most listened to episodes I've done so far. And that will kind of tie into the story, what I'm sharing on today's episode, and what kind of happened next with Darren. So because the water was revitalizing me and energizing me from the inside, I was able to start like remembering some of the goals and aspirations that I had. And when I found Darren, who was able to guide me and mentor me, even though it wasn't for the water business at first, it was encouraging me to like have a door-to-door job. For example, when I went for an interview to get hired for direct sales door-to-door for telecom, selling internet and TV, I grew up in a family where like sales was frowned upon and kind of looked at as a sleazy type of job, So I was like, well, shit, I don't want to be a sleazy salesperson and have my family not like what I do for a living or a career. So I was a little hesitant to like accept that job door to door. And I asked Darren, and Darren's like, dude, did you know like the number one thing that billionaires and multimillionaires have in common is that they did door-to-door sales at one point at the beginning of their career to like learn those fundamental street smarts and business smarts lessons and so forth. And I was like, really? Well, shit, if they all did it, then I better not think I'm too good for it. I'm going to do it too. And that's initially what kind of got me to say yes to door-to-door. I ended up working my way up there, and the rest is history. And I ended up coming back to Enagic 5 years later. But the reason why I wanted to share this story with you guys is that when we're looking at me being number one in the company for top-6 and the largest organization with the most success, which, like I always say, is not me personally. I'm just the leader at the front, in front of everybody, doing this for 11 years and being a part of Enagic for 16 years officially. It's because I went first, because I believed when no one else was around to give me that belief. It was divine destiny. Like, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing this. This is my calling. This is my purpose. I'm supposed to be, the water bearer that brings this incredible company to the planet with a global prosperity movement. It is written in the stars. This is part of my life path. You know what I mean? So understand that it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. It's a lot to live up to, but when you actually fully understand my story and all the moving parts and how it had to come together, it couldn't be written any more beautifully than it is. That's how big this is. And so I very much feel like this obligation, like I'm the chosen one. And I want to continue to fulfill my destiny and continue leading from the front and continue to add value to you through the podcast and through my mentorship and through my communities and my platforms and my trainings and my Facebook groups and all the things that I do to further pass this on and pass the torch onto you as the next generation leaders that are up and coming, that will be taking over this company in the years to come and leading the company to really be established even more than it already is across the world. And when we think about water, when we think about the importance of water, I always think to myself how you can't quantify the true value of this machine that we have in our homes. Like, to actually put a real price on it is very, very difficult. Sometimes people get all worked up about the price, like, oh, it's $6,000, $5,000, and they make such a big fuss about it. And I'm like, you are so out to lunch with your reasoning around value. Like, you do not understand value at all. Period. End of story is how it feels, because from the eco-friendly aspect to the savings on products that people are already spending money on, to the fact that it has the longevity of 20, 25 years. My original machine that my mom has, is running 16 years and it works perfectly. Literally exactly the same as 16 years ago. So even if all we did was use my mom's first SD501 as an example, that SD501 has been running for 16 years flawlessly. Think about how much money she saved on not buying bottled water, cleaning supplies, cooking, cleaning, etc. All of the fruits and vegetables she's been able to wash the pesticides, insecticides, herbicides off of. All the times that she's drank gallons upon gallons of water herself. She used it for soups and for cooking. And literally think about how much we use water every single day. And think about how grateful we have to be that we have access to running water when we flick a little handle in our kitchen sink, in our faucet, or our bathrooms, or our toilets, that the water is there available instantaneously. There are still billions of people on the planet that do not have active running, clean, drinking water. They have to literally walk for really, really long distances to get water, carry it in buckets on their heads and bring it back. Like, this is still a reality for many people. So the fact that we get access to running water and we can flick a little switch on our faucets, and then not only that, but redirect that tap water that isn't really in our best interest from a health perspective. They put chemicals in there. They put, pharmaceuticals in there. They put chlorine. They put fluoride, all kinds of different things all over the planet. It's not really designed for us to drink it straight out. It needs to be treated still. It needs to go through a process, a pre-filtration process, an ionization process. It needs to have the hydrogen added into it. And then it's ready to consume. And then it has therapeutic effects. Then it has healing properties. But people are missing this key piece to their day-to-day life. And I believe in order to be massively successful, wildly successful, and wealthy beyond anything that we can comprehend, you have to find a product, create a product, invent a product that people cannot live without. That is the ultimate win. It's not a product that you wear occasionally. It's not a product that you use sometimes. It's not something that sits in storage or in a drawer or some other place. The most valuable products, the most valuable services, the most valuable companies on the planet are things we cannot live without and we use every single day. And no one has to remind us. We just simply do it as part of our life. So, things that come to mind are like a phone, like our iPhone or whatever is like, it is such a pivotal part about our lives. We have so many things that we depend on, communication and pictures and access to the internet and so on. So that's one. Social media companies like Facebook and Instagram, people use it every single day. And the list goes on and on and on. But when we think about our health, when we think about the importance of water, you could be on any type of diet. You could be like against meat and vegetarian or vegan. You could be a carnivore. You could be a keto. You could be eat whatever the hell you want. Still need water, man. You're still going to bathe in water. You're still going to shower in water every day. You're still going to brush your teeth every day. You're going to still drink the water every day. You're going to make soups and coffees and teas and juices and like ice and wash the dishes, and like it never ever ends. And we take it for granted because most of us live in a first world country where it's just a flick of a switch and we have it right there. But if you tried to imagine your life without the convenience and the access to this water, we would be so freaking screwed. We would be dead within days of not having access to water. It is literally life. Water is life. And I just think about this, like, how do people not see this? How do people not make investing in this the number one priority? Even if it was just a health medical technology, and we're not even talking about the unlimited amount of benefits around taxes, around write-offs, around the global franchise and the online business and the freedom of time. And I mean, this thing, guys, if you just take a moment and put your business cap on for a second and truly understand the magnitude of what you have here in your hands, or what you could have in your hands if you just got out of your own way and put your money where your mouth is and invested into yourself and your family with this technology, it is by far single-handedly the most valuable amount of money that you will ever invest on a physical item, period. Bar none, end of story. That's my belief. And I've been holding that belief for 16 years. And it wasn't always easy, and I wasn't always actively promoting it, and I wasn't always talking about it. And yes, I did have a 5-year break where I was discouraged and I didn't feel like I could do this. But in my heart, after my own personal testimony and transformation, I knew then, and so does my mom, and so does my brother, and so does my family, and so do many of you, that we truly found this fountain of youth, this miracle technology, this miracle invention, and we have unlimited amounts of case studies to prove it, and the science backing it, and the testimonials through the roof, and like, it is undeniable. Anybody at this point who tries to oppose it is ignorant, has incorrect information, and is blatantly wrong, right? And I just can't imagine what my life would be today if I was still suffering with those health issues. If I was still dealing with all that stuff, I don't know if I would be as happy. Of course I wouldn't be as happy, but I can't even fathom being a dad with those conditions. Like, I'd always be grumpy. I couldn't eat so many different types of foods. I wouldn't have energy to play. There'd be all these problems that I would have to be putting up with if I didn't have this water. Not only that, but who knows what I would be doing for my job, for my career, for my income, for my livelihood. I might not even have leverage or freedom and be stuck working some kind of job that's okay at best, but still missing out on life, still not being able to travel, still not doing the things I want to do. Like, that alternative reality of what I could possibly be if my mother didn't find this product, like, man, it's devastating. It's that alternative reality is like my biggest nightmare and I'm so grateful that I don't live like that, and that we found it. And the reason why I'm trying my best to articulate just how important Mr. Oshiro is, and Mrs. Oshiro, and Enagic, and this company and this product, is because this is the gift that we now get to pay forward. This is the gift of health, of feeling good, of not suffering in the body with all these ailments and disease and symptoms and issues and everything else. This is the heart of Enagic. This is the compassion that we talk about, is paying this forward and being loud about it and being unapologetic about it and being proud and not caring what other people think. If they don't understand, who cares? Because if you focus on the people that talk shit, you're going to miss out on all the people that have their hand up, or they're praying, or they're wishing, or they're hoping that you actually do say something, that you do share it with them, right? Just like how I wish, to this day, I wish that someone would have told us about this prior to my father not having enough time to heal his body from the inside out from cancer and not pass away. There was 34 years that someone could have told my family about this and didn't. And for whatever reason, we didn't find out about it. And then 8 months after my dad passed, my mom found it. Why? Why couldn't it have been 5 years earlier? You know what I'm saying? Why couldn't it have been way before? It was in the US in 2003. My dad passed away 2007. What if we found out about it, right around 2003 when it first came to North America? Could have happened, but it didn't, because I'm sure there were too many people afraid of the judgment and opinions of others, and therefore they didn't say something when they could have said something. They thought about it, but the fear stopped them. What if they were fearless? What if they did do it? Who knows? Maybe my dad would still be here with us. And that feeling is what I carry inside now when I don't have to do this podcast. I don't have to create systems. I don't have to speak at events. I don't have to do what I'm doing. But every time in the back of my mind, when I try to stop, I don't even try to stop, but when I contemplate, like, maybe I should just stop, I always think to myself, what if my speech inspires that one person that goes out there and says something when they're afraid to say something and they still do it anyways, and that saves someone's dad from not passing from cancer 5 years from now or 10 years from now, right? There's always that lingering feeling like this is a duty and an obligation and we got to share it. That's what I think. It's much bigger than business. It's much bigger than affiliate marketing. It's much bigger than all this stuff. This is truly a calling. This is a calling for all of us to band together and to rise and to continue to share this incredibly powerful technology that really, truly is life-changing. And that's what we're here for. That's what I'm all about. And that's what I've been trying to lead for all these years. First with my own personal health testimonial, then all the other lives that we've touched. And then that turned into being financially compensated for the impact that we're having. And now we're literally doing $250 million in sales per year, just my team alone. And that literally translates over to, I don't even know what that works out to, like 50,000 plus machines a year into families' homes because of you and I and all of our collective efforts. So anyways, I could go on and on and on, but I just want to finish off this episode with eternal gratitude for every single person who has ever played a part in making this company come into reality from way back in the day, 1974, to all the technicians, everybody who makes these machines in the factories, every single living being soul who contributes to this company, from corporate to the offices, to the distributors, to the leaders, to the 6As, to every single rank, to my mother for never giving up on me. I love you, Mom. You're the best. Thank you. Like, it means the world to me. Now we're all protected by this incredible company and have legacy income, and literally our entire life changed because of your unwavering love and dedication and devotion to your son, to your family, to solve it. And I mean, I don't think there's anything bigger that you could ever give to your family than what you have already given to us. So it is the biggest kudos to you. Love you so much. You know, from all of the leaders to everybody, like, I'm just eternally grateful, and I'm trying my best not to forget specific people. But I'm just saying it as a blanket that no matter who you are at any point in the past, generationally, leading up to this moment, thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's how grateful I am for this company. I will continue to be an advocate and a raving fan and a leader towards this company as long as possible, you know, till my last days. And then I'm also preparing my children to not only take over the Enagic legacy income from the business, but to also actually be leaders of this company, to understand the product, to understand the mission, to understand how to build this business online, and to carry that torch. And I'm going to pass it forward to them too. And my daughter's 3.5, and she's already almost ready to start doing some videos and some content around this, which is going to be amazing. But yeah, what a day, 16 years, so eternally grateful. I hope you got some value from this. I hope you can feel my heart and how special and how meaningful this company is to me. And I hope it's just as meaningful to you, and it will continue to bless your family and bless you with your health inside and out, with your finances, with your peace of mind, with your freedom, with your quality of life, and also with your impact, so you can continue to pay it forward and give this unlimited, beautiful gift to others, so they can also experience true health from Enagic because of you, and we can continue to pay it forward and just have this incredible ripple effect all over the planet and continue to have a global prosperity movement that starts with our health. Our health is our wealth. If we don't have our health, we don't have anything else. And so that's always needs to be the first and foremost priority. And then everything else also comes with it as the total package. All right. Much love to you. We'll see you again on the next one. Have a good one. Cheers.